Good morning guys, we are in Edinburgh for a few days. So I'm going to go to some of the really obvious sites as well. I'm meeting up with my friend who lives in Vienna, so we're going to do some of the usual tourist stuff. But also I'm going to check out some of the places in this book here, a guide to Secret Edinburgh. Anyway, wherever we end up, we'll take you with us.
My friend isn't arriving until later, so it's time to jump on a tram to Picardy Place. Although a busy spot, it's worth a look for the mix of architecture here, and it's one of the only places you can probably find Sherlock Holmes and a pair of giraffes across the road from one another. It's also the closest tram stop to the first of my Secret Edinburgh destinations.
He is tiny, so I've missed him a couple of times, but I have finally found the mouse mosaic. He's just down there. If you are looking for him, come up the path. If you come up the path, then just before you get to the end of the church, he's on the left hand side right at the bottom. If you're coming down the path from Colton Hill, then he's on the right hand side just as you start walking past the church. I'll maybe see if I can get a what 3 words while I'm here to make life easier for anyone else that wants to find him, but he was worth it. So if you cross the road from the church, you will get to London Road Gardens, which are built in an old quarry which has been disused for centuries, and there's some nice sculptures here, wooden sculptures of animals which I'm checking out, and also it's just a nice, calm, chilled out place to be. The snowdrops are in full force at the moment as well, which makes it particularly pleasant. I thought I was going to have to give up on the badger because I couldn't find him and I wasn't going to walk around forever, but I've just found him. He's not actually in the same part of the park as the other sculptures. Again, I'll try to drop in a what 3 words, but he's over the road and I just happened to be walking past him, stumbled on the Stones of Scotland, which are in the Secret Edinburgh book as well. A cracking view here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but we're going that way towards the Scottish Parliament building. So yeah, really enjoying it so far. It's hot. It's like it's a hilly city and it's February and it's suddenly jumped from being really cold during the day to like 12, 13, 14 degrees. So, and I didn't trust that it was actually going to be that warm. So I still have quite a heavy coat with me, but not complaining. Let's crack on and see some more secret and not so secret Edinburgh.
Has a mind all of its own. All I can do is choose my next move.
The Scottish Parliament is not at all secret, but that doesn't mean it's not worthy of a visit. The architecture is interesting, even if it did cause controversy, and it's very welcoming for a government building. There's even a cafe.
Well, happy days. I've come into the Scottish Parliament and they've just taken a break, which means that it is possible to take some pictures in the chamber, which is really good. The previous debate has just finished and I'm sure they're going to start again, so we're going to leave it there. But yeah, worth a visit just for the building alone. It'd be interesting to catch a session, but I was more interested in the building.
It's a well-trodden path along Canongate at the start of the Royal Mile, but I'm ignoring the tat shops and museums in favour of something a little more niche. Tucked away off Bakehouse Close, adjacent to the Museum of Edinburgh, is the Monument's Courtyard collection, a home for old stones. Unfortunately, I found it closed, although I did manage to get a glimpse through the gate. With no time for disappointment, I get a good feel for the streets of the old town as I make my way to my next port of call. Most people on George Street are probably focused on the shops, restaurants and bars, but glance up at number 82 and you'll see this lighthouse model with working light. It sits proudly but unassumingly above the entrance door to the headquarters of the Northern Lighthouse Board. Sticking with the nautical theme, it's time to ignore the modern-day temptations of Rose Street to seek out the old telephone exchange. In 2013, the blocked-out windows became home to a huge piece of art, made by turning a paper cut by artist Astrid Jäkel into laser-cut steel panels powder-coated in russet. The words are from the poem Beachcomber by Orcadian poet George Mackay Brown. It's a shame it's surrounded by Harris fencing for my visit, but it's still possible to see the intricate design with its many sea scenes. It's a short walk from here to St John's Scottish Episcopal Church, where you'll find several cafes, a fair trade shop and some great views over Princes Street Gardens to Edinburgh Castle. There's one more stop for me today, and it's the horse and rider sculpture in Fountain Bridge, on a pedestrian bridge crossing the Western Approach Road. The 1992 sculpture was created by Edinburgh-born Owen Bridge, and was the first equestrian statue to be erected in the city for 70 years. For now, I'm going to enjoy the modern architecture of the financial district on my way back to the hotel, to rest up before we go out exploring again in the morning. The next morning sees us in the heart of the old town, near St Giles Cathedral. We'll pop in there later, but for now we're heading round the back to the Mercat Cross, the meeting point for our tour of the Blair Street Vaults. It's an underground tour of about an hour, which explores the archways under the city's South Bridge. It's long enough to be interesting, but short enough not to overwhelm, and you're free to explore the exhibitions at the end of the tour.
Now, whether or not you believe in curses or not, you can absolutely tell me it's not pleasant down here, right?
Definitely something to consider if you want a different perspective on the city's history. At ground level, the Tron Kirk market is worth a look. Then we head via the controversial W Hotel to the head office of the Royal Bank of Scotland. Yes, really, to marvel at the amazing starred dome that lies within.
It's so weird that it's like an operational bank as well. Yeah. Like there's a cash machine. Like, that's just weird. We stroll back to the Royal Mile via Coburn Street to find another piece of secret Edinburgh history hidden within this bustling tourist-filled area. Scotland's old Parliament Hall is tucked behind St Giles Cathedral across the car park in what is now the Supreme Court building. It's not advertised, but look out for number 11 Parliament Square in these arches here, and reception will give you permission to look round, but not unfortunately to film, so you'll have to go and see for yourself.
Definitely worth 5 or 10 minutes because you'll probably find yourself in this area anyway. And although it's not remotely secret, do check out St Giles Cathedral itself. You don't need to be religious to enjoy the architecture and the stained glass and all the art contained within. The next secret spot is again right inside a very unsecret location. Andy Goldsworthy's Hutton roof sits atop the National Museum of Scotland and offers 360-degree views around the city, as well as Goldsworthy's own sculptures. It's closed in bad weather, which was unfortunately the case when we visited. Even the castle was closed when we were there because of the high winds. We made do with the museum, although it did feel a bit overwhelming as we got there after quite a busy day and were feeling fairly tired. I'm not the biggest fan of museums, but there's something here for everyone, and you could certainly spend a day exploring various exhibits if you wanted to. Like all Scottish museums, it's free to enter, so you can just pop in to see a particular item or collection, if that's more your cup of tea. This is our last action of the day, apart from an amazing Thai meal, so we'll catch you in the morning. Blue skies abound as we head past attractive market stalls and up the iconic Victoria Street the next morning. Although undoubtedly a tourist spot, I love the colourful buildings, and there are some lovely shops here too, not just mass-produced tat. I particularly like the Red Door Gallery. If you do want to visit Edinburgh Castle, like more than 2 million people a year, it's probably best to book in advance. We could have got tickets later in the day, but we already had plans. Not the biggest disappointment, as you'll have seen I'm usually drawn to some of the less obvious sites, but it's definitely worth heading up for the views, even if you're not bothered going beyond the pay line. We headed down the hill and took a stroll through Princes Street Gardens. Despite being really well known and just off the main drag, it didn't feel very busy, although I can imagine that could be very different on a warmer day. If you want a souvenir that's a bit different, it's worth having a browse at the Scottish Design Exchange on George Street. But it's time for us to tear ourselves away from the retail therapy and head out of the city for the afternoon. It takes just over 10 minutes by train to travel to Dalmeny, and it's then a walk of around 20 minutes onwards to South Queensferry. As I mentioned, my friend lives in Vienna, so she doesn't see the sea very often, and if you've watched other videos on this channel, you'll know I love to be by the coast, so a trip out for a few hours suited us both. South Queensferry isn't just convenient, it's a quirky and vibrant place in its own right, with plenty of shops, cafes and restaurants, and not forgetting the stunning views of the Three Forth Bridges. Unexpectedly, it's also home to an abundance of sea glass, which kept us entertained for quite some time.
Well, they weren't kidding about the wind. I've just had to chase my hat down the road, which was unexpected. It's a bit calmer down here because I think the wind is going that way. But yeah, off to find a little bit more Secret Edinburgh before catching the plane home later today.
The Secret Edinburgh guidebook highlights the trail of 6 Antony Gormley sculptures. I've only got time to check out 2 though. 6 times Horizon, the one you've just seen, and 6 times Ground. Look out for a clip of that one shortly as I head from the National Galleries of Scotland Modern 1 via Dean Village, also in the book, towards the attractive neighbourhood of Stockbridge.
Well, it's proper windy out there, so I've taken refuge in the National Galleries of Scotland Modern 1. Not really interested in the art, but it is a break from the wind. There's some toilets, you get some water. There is a cafe here where I'm sitting at the moment, a little bit early for coffee. Might have a quick scoot down now, as soon as I'm here. I'm going to take a look at the map. I was going to walk down the Water of Leith Walkway, but I'm not sure that's that sensible to walk down a tree-lined river when the weather is quite so wild. So yeah, I'm going to check the map and see what we're going to do next.
Remember the horse and rider earlier in the video? Here's the sister sculpture, horse, rider, eagle. And now it's time to check out the canal area, which you'd never realise is just behind the hotel you've been staying in.
So, today is flying home to Birmingham today. Not sure how much I'm going to record. It's really windy at the moment. You can't really see it here. But I've just seen 2 people knocked into the road by the wind. So yeah, going to go a little bit carefully and hope it's calmed down by the time I get on my plane. Not quite what you see in all the other videos. Hotel is just over to the right there. So there you have it, secret and not so secret Edinburgh. Hope you found this video useful and interesting, especially if you're planning your own trip to Edinburgh. Please, if you're a resident or you know Edinburgh well, point out anything that I didn't go to that you think is worth a visit. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you in the next one.